Let's get right into it. First, you want to brush the brows in place. Next, you want to prime the eyelids. You can use your brush or you can use your fingers. Either way, you want to make sure you apply the primer so that way the eyeshadow can last. Next, you want to fill in the brows and then clean them up with your favorite concealer or foundation. That will be totally up to you. All right, moving on to the eyes. So you want to use a nice brown tone, or depending on what kind of look you're going for, you want to make sure you apply the transitional shade. That's the area between the brow bone and the crease of the eye. Then you want to move on to adding a darker shade to the outer corner of the eye to give the eye more dimension. Now moving on, you want to apply the base color to the eyelid, making sure you use tapping motions and gradually build. Don't just swipe it on there because it can look really, really bad. Moving on to the face, now you want to make sure that you use a foundation brush or a sponge, whatever it is that you use to apply foundation to yourself or clients. Make sure you blend, honey. Blend for the gods. You want it to be as seamless as possible, and that way it looks like she barely has a thing on. Now moving on to this part, which is adding the highlighting concealer is what I'm going to say. Adding the highlight concealer, or adding the concealer under your eyes. You want to make sure that you are applying it and building as you go. It depends on the client's preference and how they want their face to look. Um, or whatever your preference is, because you have clients who, or yourself, who you never tried it before but want to try something different. You want to make sure you start to blend it out, whether you use a disposable sponge, a beauty blender, excuse me, I can't talk, a beauty blender or a brush or anything. You just want to make sure you use tapping motions so that way it doesn't leave any streaks, or it doesn't leave any creases or anything like that once you're done. You, again, like I said, you want this to be as seamless as possible. After you spend all that time, blending and applying foundation, now you want to make sure you set under the eyes and the places that you put the concealer so that way it doesn't crease or it doesn't start to separate from the face, because it looks bad when it does. So you want to make sure you set it, baby. Set it in place. Using any setting powder. Really, it doesn't matter what kind of setting powder you use, but as long as it's a good one, it doesn't have a lot of flashback. All right, now you're going to apply face powder, the face powder that matches the skin tone, and you want to just apply that face powder all over the face. Make sure you use circular motions and you blend and tread lightly and build as you go. All right, I'm going to be using a powder that is slightly darker than her actual skin tone to give her some dimensions back to her face, because adding foundations and concealers can make your face really flat. So you kind of want to really make sure you add those shapes back to the face. I'm just using some circular motions all the way around the face depending on the client's facial shape. Now moving on to this part, I will be adding contour, which is about a shade or two darker than her actual skin tone. And just applying it on a cheekbone. You don't want to apply it all the way down to the lip. It's going to look crazy. All right, now it's time for a lot of people's favorite part, which is adding the highlight. And you can add the highlight of your choice, or whatever the client chooses to get. It's totally up to you. You are the makeup artist, and that is your moment to shine and be a makeup artist, literally, and no pun intended. You guys, I love my client. She just couldn't help herself. Like, she had to take a brief moment. But we're getting right back into it. So I'm just adding little things that I didn't add before with the eyes and things like that right now. Moving on, I'm just adding her liner because I didn't add that earlier. So almost totally forgot about it. Moving so fast, not paying attention. Yep, so I'm just adding some, the shade and the color under her eyes, just to make sure that the eyes pop all together. And a little bit of detail, things I might have missed that I didn't see. I always double back to go back, but some parts I did forget. Moving forward, use a setting spray to set the face. I guess it's her birthday. She can act up a little bit. All right, so now I am adding the lip color, which is the final step. I'm really excited because she let me pick her color, so I can't wait to see her reaction. So right now I'm just using a brown to line her lips. All right, after lining the lips, I'm going to be using the lip color um, to go on the outside of the lip and kind of leave the center area open because I'm going to be adding another color in the middle. So she really didn't have much of a cupid's bow, but this part I just kind of gave her one and, just make sure that it was filled in and it was seamless. Now I'm going in with her lip gloss that she actually purchased from MAC herself, and it's the Patrick Star Mama Star lip gloss, and I use that to apply in the center. It's so pigmented because it looks more like a lipstick until you see in the light that it is actually a gloss. And this is the final step, you guys. We are done.